Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. How you guys doing? Please consider subscribing. Doesn't hurt you to subscribe, doesn't cost anything. So let's understand something. Boom! Saudi Arabia has big plans. Big plans, let me tell you, when it comes to all sports. I've talked about it before, but there's something that was concerning me because I didn't understand it when it comes to why Fury and Ngannou is taking place and why Deontay Wilder and AJ is not. Well, I personally think Wilder and AJ is going to take place, but it's going to get pushed down the line a little bit. Got to understand what's going on over there in Saudi Arabia. But check this out. You know that Ngannou's associated with the PFL. Jake Paul's associated with the PFL. Clarissa Shields just signed to the PFL. Word on the street is Deontay Wilder. There's some discussion about him and joining this PFL. And you're going to see a lot of other big-name, high-profile combatants getting involved with this PFL. Now, check this out. See, because I didn't know much about it. I just heard Clarissa Shields signed to the PFL. What's her name signed to it as well? Clarissa Shields just fought her, man. The girl from the UK, man. I do all them videos on her, and I'm seeing her face. She sounds like damn Tony Bellew when she talks. Savannah Marshall. She signed to the PFL. But check this out. Saudi Arabia. Now I'm understanding the connection, right? The Saudi Arabia, they have this something called a sovereign wealth fund, right? Sovereign wealth fund. Just remember that. Sovereign wealth fund. They use that fund to buy a stake in the PFL Mixed Martial Arts League. They didn't get involved with Bellator. They didn't get involved with this bare knuckle crap. They didn't get involved with the UFC. Not saying they won't. They didn't. They said you have this kind of this new league that's kind of making a little bit of noise. So they decided they wanted to invest in that. They want to be involved in MMA. So they formed their own promotional company, and the plans are to create regional tournaments. Now, this article that I came across, right, it kind of blew my mind when you start sitting here thinking about how all this plays together. We're always talking about the secret society and the key decision makers behind the scenes and these hedge funds and wealth funds, and where's the money coming from? Well, now we know, and I'm going to tell you where it's coming from. So check this out. So there's a company formed by Saudi Arabia's Sovereign Wealth Fund, right? Acquired a minority stake in the United States PFL League. Now, they're looking to come out to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and organize a bunch of regional tournaments, and they're looking to push and expand into mixed martial arts. Now, remember, they're already pushing hard to expand and grow boxing, right? So, I want you to understand this. They really felt like this marked a milestone when it comes to Saudi Arabia and the Wealth Fund when they're making these huge investments. Now, the investment aims to nurture the local and regional talent pool, in martial arts, to promote gender equality in sport. Now, you know that's a big deal because all the human rights issues in Saudi Arabia is happening in Saudi Arabia and has happened in the past. And bring new opportunities directly to Saudi Arabia and the wider MENA region. MENA is an acronym. Now, this is where it gets interesting. You say, what the hell is MENA? M-E-N-A. PFL will launch its MENA, right? Middle East and North Africa League next year and will stage other mega events in Saudi Arabia. Y'all understand what's going on here? Do you understand what's going on? This sovereign wealth fund is being used by Saudi Arabia to kind of dive into different sports and to expand the sport and to go off into other countries now, right? And continue growing whatever sports they want because they have the dough in this sovereign wealth fund. Africa. You may say, what's the uniqueness of Africa? North Africa, West Africa, South Africa. What does that matter? And now, I'm not saying there's any correlation between these guys really starting to get involved in Africa because of a lot of the corruption that's going on with this whole Kinahan case and how they have business dealings and stuff going on in different parts of Africa. I'm not saying there's a correlation. I'm not trying to piece it together, but I'm just saying to me, it's kind of a coincidence that you got these guys over in Saudi Arabia with this wealth fund that's looking to move and expand what they're doing with sports into countries like Africa. There's 7 different continents. There's a lot of different countries on those continents. Why Africa? But if you look at Africa, Africa's a huge continent. And if invested in there into the right things, it could yield a very high rate of return on your investment. So I get it. But the PFL's mission is to become the global leader in MMA. Global leader. The UFC is doing pretty damn good. But just to let y'all know, their first mission, listen to this, the first mission is to disrupt the sports season and all the formats with sports. Yo, this is why you're seeing with the fights they want in boxing, guys getting paid so much money. And this is why a guy like Tyson Fury is like, forget Usyk, forget them titles. I'm going to where the money is. That's why Wilder ain't fought in a year, because he's trying to get out there to Saudi Arabia. Now, that whole thing was Skills Challenge Promotion, the Sovereign Wealth Fund, this new movement that's going on. I think they're restructuring and realigning things to make sure that they're pulling the money from the right place to make sure they're organizing these events and getting the right fighters here, so they're paying them out of the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Now, the deal between the Saudi Arabia and the PFL, it wasn't disclosed, but it's rumored that it was about 100 million, right? So I want y'all to understand this, right? Saudi Arabia has a vision for sports. Boxing is part of that. The PFL is part of that. You've already heard different fighters' names, from boxing getting attached to the PFL. Okay, it's maybe the opportunity to get in if you can, because the money's there. But we know that Saudi has made in the past huge investments when it came to golf. They got a lot of pushback. Okay, but at the end of the day, they put a lot of money into it because they can, and had some big tournaments over there. Put a lot of money into race car driving and other sports. But as of late was many people say football, American football, soccer, football or soccer. Okay, American football. But not American football, just U.S. we call it soccer. Everywhere else calls it football. But check this out. When them getting involved with soccer, the amount of money they're putting up, and people were surprised to see guys like Cristiano Ronaldo and Neymar sign to play on these leagues in Saudi Arabia because of the money they're giving these guys. I'm talking about the kind of money that will blur your vision. Okay, so understand that. Also, this thing with basketball, they're trying to get involved, and you look at the kind of money they're offering guys. Ridiculous amounts. There was something floating around that, Harden was offered up to almost $1 billion. My understanding was for like 1 year or something. Now, I don't know all the specifics around that, but playing for 1 year for almost $1 billion, like 900 million or something. That's crazy. But what's happening is Saudi Arabia, the Middle East, their popularity is growing with fighters and athletes as a whole, globally, because of what they're trying to do there and the type of money they're putting up. And people are developing an interest in Saudi Arabia. Simple. So we're going to see what happens. But there's a name I want y'all to understand, okay? Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, okay? You need to understand that name because he's the guy who's the PIF chairman. Now you guys are saying, what's the PIF? Let me explain to you what the PIF is. Where is it? It's right here. The Public Investment Fund. He's the Public Investment Fund chairman. The Public Investment Fund is where they maintain the Sovereign Wealth Fund, and he's the chairman, and that fund is worth over $700 billion. That's crazy. That's crazy, right? So, you may say, what's the Sovereign Wealth Fund? The Saudi Sovereign Fund, right? Now, I'm going to break this down. I need to kind of read over this because I don't have it all memorized. It's known as the Public Investment Fund, which I just told you, the PIF or PIF. It's an investment pool that manages more than $700 billion in Saudi government money. It invests those funds in companies, real estate, and other ventures domestically and globally to generate profits, ostensibly for the benefit of Saudi economy. Now that's crazy, man. So that's what they're doing, man. That's where they're using it. That's where they're getting this money from for all this. It's a huge, huge, huge fund, man. And they're using it, man, for all these different things that have to do with sports. You know, you're talking about some of the fund's investments. Now, under Prince Mohammed, the fund has invested in an array of just international companies, but it's talking about soccer leagues and how they get into other sports like boxing, golf, soccer, which we talked about in basketball. So for those of you who are wondering, how come fights aren't happening? How the hell is a guy's okay with sitting on the sidelines? How is Saudi Arabia, oil-rich company, how are they able to get people to want to be involved with their country with all the human rights issues? And how is it that Saudi Arabia has this vision and what makes them so confident they can pull it off? Well, I'm going to tell you, smart people over there with endless money. They got a 5-year plan that involves not only boxing, several other sports, and they're making their push right now. And so what you're seeing right now is I think they had to tweak their vision and kind of update their vision statement. And as a result, they had to make some changes with leadership to make sure they had the right people and to really take a look at their, I'd say their 5-year, 3-year, 1-year annual forecast budget and really start to be smart with what they're doing. I think before they were just kind of flying by the seat of their pants. I think now they're like, okay, look, this is how much money we want to allocate to boxing this year. This is how much we want to allocate to basketball, how much to soccer, how much to golf, how much to the Formula One. And now they're sitting back and they're putting together a proper budget and a proper plan of action. This thing about having Fury, Wilder, Usyk, AJ, and all these other big name fighters fighting in one night, and purses totaling up to $300-400 million. I don't know if that's the direction they want to go anymore. I think they're trying to be smart about it. But what I do know is, for those of you out there who think some of these big names we have in the States would never go over there and mingle with Saudi Arabia, let me tell you something. But the kind of money these people have and the money they're willing to put up, it's going to be, I think a fighter would be stupid not to go over there and take a fight and for the money they're going to be offered. I'm not saying they should go sign to Skill Challenge Promotion or anything like that. I don't know enough about it. But if you can get over there with people who genuinely care about you and want the best for you and want to pay you, of course they're going to take a pound of flesh out of you because you got to fight and you got to do whatever it is. Those contracts, I'm sure those contracts are going to be pretty tricky. I just can't see them saying, hey, I like you so much, yeah, I'll give you $20 million, one fight, bye. I don't see it like that. I think there's going to be some catches, some caveats. I think you're going to have to be a spokesperson for them. It's almost like propaganda. I think you're going to have to come out and say nice things about Saudi Arabia, about the sports, and they're going to need their help. So it's a win-win. I'll help you financially. You help me with our reputation and how we appear to the international community. And that's what they call it, sports washing. But I was in Saudi. I lived in Saudi Arabia for a while. I was over there for, I think I was over there for like 60 days. And, I was all around. I can't say 60 days is enough time to form an opinion that somebody should take my word on how the country is. But my movements were very limited. I did get outside the compound I was on. And I had a very good experience out there in my 60 days. I'm going to just be honest with you. But culturally, I identified a lot with with the people. And then the religion, I understood it. Food and just everything. It was a proper fit for me. So it wasn't a struggle. I didn't judge anyone. I didn't have high expectations or low expectations. But because of my name, my real name, they were going crazy. They were going crazy. So I didn't have a bad experience. But even my American partners over there, man, we all American. I just so happened that my pops isn't. He's not from this side. He's from the Caribbean. But culturally, there's something there that I have that those guys didn't have. But a lot of my American partners who just parents from America and everything, they didn't have an issue either. As long as they had an open mind, the guys with closed minds, they were miserable. But what I'm getting at is, if everything is being done professionally, the propagandist crap is being set aside, and they don't have those expectations, I don't see why somebody shouldn't be interested. But it just makes you wonder, who's behind all this? How? Okay, that's all I'm saying. Who's behind this? Is it Kinahan? Is it the cartel? Is it just brilliant minds? I mean, somebody from the States who's heavily involved with sports and been doing it for years. Are they getting paid consultation fees now? You just don't know. But just understand this: the Public Investment Fund, the Sovereign Wealth Fund, what's his name? I want to make sure I say his name again. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. He's the PIF chairman. And Prince Khalid, Skills Challenge Promotion, and the PFL and boxing, and the Riyadh Championship belt, and Fury and Ngannou, and everything that's going on. I'm telling y'all right now, just sit back and let's see what happens the next year, next couple of years. I'm telling y'all, it's going to get more interesting. But my thing is, who's the brains behind all this? That's all I want to know. Because I think it's fair to ask those questions, because just out of nowhere, you got this interest in boxing and all these sports, and you're pumping all this money into everything. How? Why? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, more to come on this. Very, very interesting to me. See, now I learned something. The Sovereign Wealth Fund is better known as the PIF, the Public Investment Fund. I did not know that. See, now we all learned something today. But let me tell you, we can dig even deeper, man, and it just becomes even more interesting the more you start to learn and understand how deep the pockets of these people in Saudi Arabia are. I'm telling you, man, no promoter, no sanctioning body, no one stands a chance when going up against these guys who just have money set aside just to play with. That's all they're doing. They got play money set aside for things like this. It's crazy. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. In the breeze.